We're in SOMODOMO's studio right now. Let's talk about the art a little bit.
Rolling?
Yeah,
they've been rolling the whole
fucking really
time.
go.
They've
Let's
been
go.
rolling, baby.
Let's really talk.
Let's talk about the art. Let's cheers first. Let's cheers first.
Exactly. Do the real introduction.
Let's cheers
Wait,
first.
Do it right.
I usually don't have an introduction.
You right?
Okay,
What?
so this could be the introduction.
Right.
Guys, thank you for being here. Thank you for showing up. Thank
Thank
you
you.
for doing this at your studio. This is fucking sick. Cavier, SOMODOMO, I love you guys. I love what you're working on right now. I love you, bro. I love all the work that you're doing. Keep rapsing. We're going to be fucking getting that on. Richie, I love you. Thank you for letting me stay with you while I'm here. And, fucking always being a great friend. So let's get this fucking started, my G's. Cheers.
That's a good intro.
There we go.
That put the exclamation.
Cool. So, what's going on lately, guys? This is obviously One Too Many. We're here at SOMODOMO Studio. Cavier and Somo have been working on a bunch of paintings. This is a La Familia episode. So I'm kind of like back in New York right now, trying to get my way back here soon. And came to pick up some podcast equipment, and I wanted to fucking record while I was here and just obviously kick it with you guys. We're going to have a crazy day today. You got a show. Well, you're in a show, but we got an artist talk later. So we're going to be fucking getting into that.
Troublesome.
Yeah, we're not going to try and turn up too much before then.
Yeah.
But, I mean, shit, like, can we talk about what you guys are working on? Because this is my first time back in the studio. There's been so much fucking new stuff in here since I've been here. Not only art, but you've set up, the music spot. You've got your embroidery and knitting and all that kind of stuff over there. Like, what's going on, guys? Fill me in.
Drew.
Yeah,
Tell me about it.
It's a lot of different things. Our minds are in a lot of different places. But let's start off with, since Cavier's here, we're working on a bunch of pieces together. Some of them are behind us.
Yeah, I mean, well, this is.
And that's it.
Well, that's not.
The paintings are behind us, and we're working on some paintings.
That was a bad selling point there. I'm like, Drew, let's talk about this shit, okay? But no, honestly, it's like me and Drew are like kindred souls.
You can see the juxtaposition of the art next to the other art. Here, it's really making a comment on the subtleties between the art world and the world outside of the art world.
Wow.
We're looking into a place that really bridges the gap between them. There's something that happens when cultures come together, and when people who are very different come together, and there's really an explosion of things that happen. And
selling points.
do I sound smart yet, or what?
I don't know what you sound. Sound like you from out of this fucking world.
Caviar's like, get the fuck out of here. Let me talk.
I'm like,
Israel's got something to say.
It's just, more importantly, I think what I'm saying on a serious note, like, this ain't supposed to be a serious interview, but it's
hell no.
At the same point, it is like, what we're doing is very serious, and it's supposed to be taken serious. And I think artists is something that is like just because you see colorful colors doesn't mean it doesn't give like symbolic reasoning to like the reality of our fucking society, right? And I think that's what I'm going against. I'm knowing that the norm is what you fit in, everything that you're supposed to do, but artists is about standing out. And I think me and him are like stand out personalities more importantly than our artists being stand out, right?
Agreed.
Stand out-ish. Like our personalities is fucking unique as his own. We don't have to be something that we don't want to be. I think artists is like more or less the method of like creating what you want to see like in reality.
Right, creating what you want to see in the world too, right? That's the hardest part though. That's why that's like it's always the artist battle, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like
I just
getting to that point.
As a third party observer, so we make our own music art together,
Yeah.
But as an observer to a lot of these works, to me it's just like, so what Drew doesn't express on the mic, he does in his art, and it's super creative. And Cav's the opposite.
Yes.
Big on both, but it's just a great union, and the colors and just really the passion, and keeping, like, I always go back to feeling like just keeping art alive. Each of us are just keeping art alive in our own way. And it's kind of symbolic of maybe a bigger war going on, the spirituality to like the globe. But I gotta say, man, these brothers inspire me every day, and their work speaks for itself.
That's some real
I look
shit.
forward to the show.
Yeah,
some real
coming back
shit.
to see even the shit that you and Andrew are doing right now with the Dogman Buddha. By the way, get yourself a fucking Dogman Buddha. You can see it down here.
Get
Richie,
your
hold that up for the
Buddha.
camera over there on the right. Yeah. No, that your camera over here. No,
Hey, man, don't
there
talk
you
to
go.
Richie that way.
I was just making sure he knew
Watch your
which one to
mouth,
go
bro.
to.
Society wants me to say it's my right. Maybe my right's over here.
You heard that? That shit was profound.
That's true. Maybe it is correct for you over there. It's correct for you, but guess what? You live in a world where, there's people around you and there's cameras in certain positions.
British.
I'm British. It was an Australian, right? Yeah, but the stuff that you guys are even doing with the Dogman Buddhas and like the music videos and shit like that is like growth that I'm seeing, which I fucking love. I'm like, yes, this feels like true, authentic Andrew. True, authentic SOMODOMO, like that kooky, weird, like being a kid, like acting like a dog, having, people boss you around, slap you around, carry you on a leash. Like, you love that shit.
All that stuff.
Hey. Why you always gotta
Especially the
refer
last
to
part.
something sexual? Dude.
I don't know. I get hot and bothered around you
No,
boys.
but I, all right, stop it.
I think it's time to leave, guys. I'm like, how you
Richie loves that shit, though. He's peeking through the doors as I'm changing and all that. I'm just joking.
Oh, come on.
Bro, you have no manners.
I'm a man. I'm 35.
Damn, you old as fuck. You
Yeah, I
35?
Yeah. Turned 35 in
Damn, boy, I'm
January, baby.
36.
I know you
Let's
are.
talk about age, man. So do you guys feel like age is like, I'm gonna ask y'all a question.
Okay, let's talk about age.
Do y'all feel like age is like a big myth up to like the reality of like you actually growing up, or do you think it has some coordinates and like keys to actually how people act based off their age, right? And if you think about it, it's like, okay, do you act 42? And when I say that, do you accept your
right.
40? Do you accept your your responsibilities? Because if you're not, your age can represent you being immature. So I
Right.
think your age has like a correlation to like your maturity. So I think like your age is something important to like think about.
I think it does as well, and I'm just gonna speak before Richie gives his comment because he is in his 40s. But
Thanks.
like I don't think, but just being 35, I can't say that like there is a right way to be 35 or there is a right way to be 42. Like everybody's fucking journey is different. Like your life is different. Like people look at me and you and everybody in this room, they're like, what the fuck? Like you're that age? Like holy crap! Like it's a young spirit. But go ahead, Richie. What are you gonna say?
I mean, I think age is irrelevant in
Yeah.
terms of like responsibility and duty. Like I was more responsible when I was like in my 20s. Like helping me out my little sister and all this kind of stuff. Now I live in New York. I'm single. I don't have kids. I don't have hardly any responsibilities. So no, it's true. Like like I've got like I can just do whatever I want. And like, but when I was younger, I couldn't do that. I had like family to help out, or when my dad passed away, I had stuff with him I had to sort out.
Yeah, you did.
And now, like, I can just do whatever I want, and I'm older. So I think it's where the situations that you have in life that are going on. Maybe next year I'll have to be responsible because some other crazy shit will happen. But right now, it's pretty chill. So
I like that answer.
Yeah, I think it also like
That's a great response.
it like the environment you like are in and that you grow up in and all that shit like kind of affects where you get to be like when you're 40 or 50 or whatever, but also like those decisions are yours, right? Like sometimes I feel really immature because it's like I don't have a home, I don't have like I don't have like the atypical home and fucking good, like all my tax shit and all like whatever. I don't have all that shit in order, but like I'm working on me though, you know what I mean? And that's like a difference. Like some people work on themselves, which I think all of us here do. Like we work on ourselves, and then everything else in like society kind of comes second to that, and our art, like ourselves and our art first. And then there's people that like really focus on the societal shit, like making the money, having a home, having kids, having like your 401k like lined up and all that shit. And like you can do both at the same time. Like I know Richie's really good at that shit, but like there's people that like just heavily focus on that in terms of like growing up.
Yeah.
And like that's how they relate age. to everything.
Well, it seems like there's like a correlation between the way people think age goes and responsibility. Meaning,
Correct.
the more old you are, the more responsibilities you have, and vice versa. But I want to think about, like, responsibilities for me is a really good thing. Like, it's something that kicks me into gear and makes me want to do more. Like, if I have a responsibility to, like, change things around me, like to change the world around me, and I have a big world view, like, the more responsibilities I have in my own mind, the more I'm gonna do. So like, right now I'm like just trying to take on more responsibility at a certain point, because it makes me like just able to do more. If that makes sense.
Well, you kind of have to do more, right? When you have more responsibility, right?
Right. But I want to. But like, what does everybody else think about responsibility? I want to hear.
Well, one other thing is, like, in art, interesting. Like, I have friends who talk about, oh, I'm 35 and I haven't done this yet in my whatever art they do, whether it's directing or music or whatever. And I think that's kind of, you can be like 80 and you could come up with some of the craziest shit that you've ever came up with artistically.
Well,
There's no like time frame for art.
I was gonna say that. I think as far as art,
Right.
there's no age, right?
Totally
It's
agree,
really
yeah.
about your creative. Like, I'm blessed to have lived many lives in music, and now this kind of weird art world I'm in with these brothers, and it's like, I always, it's funny to other friends, I call you guys my Zoolander crew, right? Because you guys have all done modeling, they've done fashion shit, So I'm like, and the stereotype of like anybody in fashion or model is like they're like airheaded, and I'm like, yo, my homies are like brilliant. You know what I mean? They're
Right.
like really bright. They do all kinds of art, but
That's why we
age,
artists.
it really just depends the category, right? And we also confuse age with maturity, response. All these terms we're saying, they get very confused, and people that are young that are mature. That you have people that are old that are freaking still slapstick and weird.
Right.
So
Yeah.
really, age,
Right.
really, it's more about like depending what walk of life you're talking about. But as far as us and creating art, and I think everybody is making probably their best art ever, and it's because we don't think about age. I think when you live art, you live music, you live painting, you live all of the above, your spirit will have you around the right kind of things you need to be around, artistically.
Mm-hmm.
Well, is
Yeah.
there such thing as being in your prime?
Well, I think sports related, yes. I think there's a sense thing, and that's reality. Like, that's
Yeah.
the thing that you got to realize. Like, and I think, like, as an artist, no, there's no defining of, like, I think there's this constant, like, searching. As an artist, you don't have to, like, find yourself trying to find time. Time creates itself around your creations. Like, if you know what I mean, it's like, you only see it because you hear it to get older. You get what I mean? You only see it because you can see it in reality. It's like, if we didn't make that painting, it just wouldn't be here. We could have that idea or even another idea, but the fact that we didn't, like, actually act on it, it don't give us that time to even allow ourselves to see our prime, if you know what I mean.
I kind of do think there is a prime in art, because I do think that life circumstances change that, but you always have, like, change your, like, situation, which then I also think can, like, hinder your creativity. But also, I just think that there are artists that continue to stop growing because they don't
Right.
challenge themselves enough. They don't force themselves to
I'm also
change.
just thinking.
So then it's like, just real quick,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
then it's just like, like Kanye West, like, he keeps reinventing himself, making fucking music, like, and then there's, like, a lot of rappers or bands or whatever that, like, have amazing music, but then, like,
They
for
stop
like
making
3
it.
years, but then, like, everything else they make after that is just trash. You know what I mean? It's just like the same shit. Like, it sounds the same, and it's like nobody wants to hear the same fucking thing or see the same exact painting. Like, we want to see you continue to grow, and that's what makes you really an amazing artist, like, but there are people that have, like, those prime years, and then they just fucking, like, kind of disappear because they don't keep challenging themselves, or something in their life changes where it's like, yeah, like, I care differently about things now, and I have different priorities, and, like, it weans off, and, like, they kind of lose it,
But you,
because it is a skill. Like, you have to keep making art to, like, stay good. It's like anything else.
Well,
but like, people's
before-
kind of perception of prime like, oh, that was their prime years, right? And then you go make a bunch of trash. What happens when you hit 70 and then you go make one banger of whatever it is, and it's better than that stuff that was you supposedly in your prime? So what is prime?
I think prime is also like, well, it could be two things. It could be like success outside of you, right? That your work or whatever you're doing is like having, right? As like a opinion of like prime, right? Like the societal success that you're having with your work, or it could just be based on like the actual work itself, like whatever that, like.
Well, I mean, personally, I think the prime is like, it's if you weather the storm, right? And so that's like throughout bad, and like a prime example of Richie said, I think is great, because it's like, I mean, we could take breaks for months not making music, but the fact that we know we got a 6 album coming out or working on a 7 toward a 7, it's like, who's to say when we release that, and who's to say it's not like I'm trying to like get 50,000 points like LeBron James. We're not chasing milestones. We chasing like our personal like attributes. It's like, could we still do this like this? Sometimes we ain't gonna be able to move this fast, but maybe we move smarter versus faster. You know, with more intent to like actually like make something good, or a collaboration that could separate. That's how I'm thinking as I get older. I don't want to work faster if I know I can work smarter. You know what I mean? But it's also a sense of balancing that, and also still realizing you can get the task done faster. So the prime is, to me, is just understanding the timing that comes along with whatever you producing in that moment. And like the critique is going to be there, but that's up for you as the artist, and not accept like laziness. And like, I think that's what makes bad art.
That's also what I'm
lazy.
Yeah.
And I think that's why you can separate yourself from your prime if you can actually be like productive with like intent.
Yeah. That's exactly what I was saying before, like challenging yourself to like continue to keep working. Sorry.
No, I'm just saying. So we were talking about we were saying like athletes have a prime, right? That was like everybody's first answer, and I think there's something about, once you look at someone's whole career as like a story, you can look at a chapter and say that was the prime, because you can zoom out and you can see during this time they were doing so well, that was their prime. And I think a lot of times artists are the same way. You can look at their career as an artist, and then you zoom into one area and you're like, wow, during that period they were doing something really, really special, So like so I feel like the prime is something that's looked at as a chapter within a story. And I think it's hard to see like I'm in my prime when you are in your prime. And so yeah, I don't know if we're in our prime right now. I mean, that's pretty cool. But
it's interesting though, to what Cav said. Like, one of my favorite sports players, he was so dominant for so long, and then he was right at the end of his career. He's like, everyone's like, this guy's finished, and he came back and put on one of the best performances of his life for 1 year, and then he was cooked. But he was like really old by then, so it's like weathering that storm. Everyone's like, oh, he dominated in this era. But what people remember about that guy is his last year, where he wasn't as good as he was back in his physical athletic prime, but he kicked butt, and then he dropped the mic and like, I'm out of here. But he won, and he was old.
Yeah.
So it's like, so you have that prime. It's like that wasn't his prime wasn't his most memorable moment.
There's always time for reinvention, though, bro.
Well, I think Drew.
What is prime?
That's what I was trying to say earlier too. Like, there's always time for reinvention. And that break.
Well, I think Drew hit it on the head.
Just real quick before you say it, but I think another guy. So Kyle said Kanye, and I think Andy Warhol is another one of those people that kind of like kept reinventing himself over and over through his life. He was like an old guy.
Madonna.
And yeah, Madonna. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
goes on and on.
And I just feel like people like reinvent the wheel is like people that you count out. I think age is important to carry out the dream sometimes. It's like, would you not want to see yourself at 91 and see what you're doing creatively? Like, I think that's also a master like mindset. It's like to live long, to fucking still do what you want because it's what you want to do it.
Hell yeah.
It's not because I don't see prime. I'm like, as an artist, I'm like, dude, I'm gonna be making bronze sculptures at 80 years old. wearing fucking overalls.
But that's also
You know what I mean? Like, I think that's what makes you like evolve, is knowing that time is just a defeat of
right. And I was gonna say that I think age becomes a state, like what you're really describing is growth, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think with seeing this weird shit happen where, like, if you're in the Coliseum and you're all about the Coliseum, the reality show, the football, the basketball, then age means more to you. And the prime, but I think it's a combination of things. I think you're correct. It has to be cumulative, right?
Mm-hmm.
How can you tell this is my prime if I'm in the prime and then you call this my prime and I do something better, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But
exactly.
more importantly, you got kids now, under 18. YouTube has made all these young kids sensations, and they might not have the art in what we're talking about is like actual paint, but they have a certain je ne sais quoi kind of thing going on. And I just think all that shit's being tested, bro. You know what I mean? It's all being tested. Age, this, that. Like, if you live artistic shit will happen for you, no matter the freaking age. And I think it can coincide. Your prime can coincide with how much are you living the art, whatever you do.
Mm-hmm.
And like right now, I've seen y'all in here, like all of us, right, making our art every day, right? That coincides more with prime than any. We're not talking about athletics where we have to like dunk, 20 years from now,
Exactly.
But even in that, right? Even in that,
though.
it's ironic because LeBron's doing like things
Crazy
right
shit
now,
at
40 that.
Which I think 40 is
whole
like
nother
literally
level.
the new 30.
Right.
It's like, and I think
I think more athletes would so here's the thing. This is how capitalism works into sports, okay? I'm gonna No. I'm gonna say tie it into everything we're talking about. Athletes actually are better older now, right? But
Correct.
because of the economics of sports, right?
Mhm.
They don't want older, better players that know what they're worth. They want younger players that still have to earn their prime or their next thing. And that's also that's for another episode. But the whole point is, in general, people are doing amazing things later into life than ever.
And I love that. I think that's what give us hope, knowing that when 20 was, and why would you not be struggling at 20 in your 20s? And I say that not to be like, guys, you can't be successful until you're 30, but it's like you want to learn at that age. And I think like me finding myself just what I like to do, what I like spending my time on in my 20s was so important for me to decide what my career was as an artist. And so to be able to reflect on that, it was a self-discovery in those early stages. And I think a lot of kids growing up so fast that like they don't realize like all opportunity they have just on like the tick for tack things, like literally like learning how to like go and build bricks, literally. I mean, I think it's not enough for that. It's knowledge being passed around. And I've been having conversations with men and just in different fields from like, different, expertise from carpentering to electricity, dealing, and there's going to be a shortage because there's not enough knowledge being passed down to our generations.
Yeah, true.
From now, and we're about the last of that time, and it's like we can't just rely on AI and all these different things. We learn these skills to be able to pass down. And I think that's another thing. I think prime is forever if you actually going after something.
This is not a prime ad for Logan Paul, by the way. Fuck you, Logan Paul.
We will go on your show there, buddy.
Yeah. So it's interesting. It's interesting. Prime could be if you never leave your prime, or but like sports is so much
the
different.
perfect world, right?
I do think
right.
sport athletes are going to keep playing longer and longer, but that's also because science and all the shit that is like
money,
taking care of your health and like it's so much easier to play a sport now, like, and have access to a sport, and then also have access to all the things that keep your body healthy. And like we've learned so much over the last 15 years since we've been out of 18 years since we've been out of like high school and shit.
Right, and we all played sports, and which is actually interesting too. I think that also has like a little grit and value to like us having discipline to understand why we want to create, versus like why we not. And there's time to take rest, and I think that's another thing. As an artist, you must find rest in a way to grow. You know, like take breaks, mentally know what you want to do versus always thinking you got to do something to just feel like you feeling the beast.
Yeah.
And I know, I could tell you, I was
Yeah.
a creature of habit, and I just thought that was making me better.
Yeah,
And sometimes it's not. It's just making you more manic and
Yep.
not be able to sit back and think. And I think always
Yep.
create those moments for yourself to like have reality.
Woo.
Totally.
You know what I
And
mean?
and just
Ooh, I'm
and
glad
just
you
taking the
recognized
time
that.
to just zoom out
Mm-hmm.
and like see what you're working on and understand like am I using my time wisely, or am I just working and feeling like I'm working hard, which is maybe making a lot, but is it making what I want to make?
Yes.
And that's where like time and like age comes in for me, because
Mm.
it's always moving, and I'm always getting older, and I know, so like my story is being written every day, so I'm always thinking about what am I doing at this age, and like, you know, but if I'm just in there and just like doing it every day and I'm like the paint, then I'm not gonna have the time to zoom out and really see like, should I be working on something more? Should I be working on something different? Should I pick up a new medium? Should I do more content? Should I call right now and make a song? Like all of
Right.
that. It's like the resting time. Not only is it good for your like your muscles and your mind, it's like for just for seeing what you're doing and understanding like the big picture of it all.
Yes. Reflection and perspective, right?
Mm-hmm.
And refreshment.
See, I like the flow of this conversation,
Yeah,
guys.
I'm
All
saying.
party jokes and stuff. I wasn't feeling
Yo,
it.
you know
I
where
was like,
boys will
I'm
be
too-
boys.
I'm too famous, bro, to be on a podcast with fucking just porn stars and shit.
He want to put his
brought the
porn star days
conversation back
behind
there,
us.
though.
Right, he did.
I mean, hey, it is having.
I
too
thought you were
many,
trying
right?
to let go of your porn past.
What did you just say? Oh my god. I don't even know what he said. So
I
guys,
really wasn't that bad at them making it. I said I thought you were
Hey, the
trying to let
logo
go
has been
of your
hidden.
porn past.
it's hidden on my brow. Oh my god, what I just did?
Oh God.
yo,
Yo, that's
seriously,
that's
man.
crazy that you guys said that, Don. I'm glad you freaking
Honestly,
reflected
I'm
on that.
blessed to be around. So what I've also learned, right? What
Yeah, give me some ginger ale.
what I've also earned is an art, right? Is the hustle of it, the drive, the work ethic, right? I used to think that that's everybody has that. You know what I'm saying? Everybody has that same. And honestly, bro, we're like one of 1% that actually has that drive. You know, we're the other 1% artists who have the actual drive to make all these. Bro, how many? I know each of us can attest to hard times just to make ends meet. You know, just to keep art alive. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So this conversation started getting me thinking. So like when we think of art as like a big thing, there's almost like these like pop stars like Picasso and Matisse and Warhol and Basquiat and Keith Haring. But like in the internet age, is it still possible to be like one of those people? Like, what does that look like now to be Keith
Yes,
Haring?
it is. It is still. I got you.
By the way, guys, we're not trying to give those no logos here.
It is still possible, and I just think that comes down to like
Wait. Can I ask a question real
the
quick? You mean, like, for what age
maturity.
group?
It doesn't matter. I'm talking about any age. Like so that was such a. It's just a much different thing. There's a lot of people that are really well known by many people, but the internet provides that possibility. But
yeah.
so before that, there was like limited news sources or ways to like know about something that is happening, like a big artist, right? Even if it was like after someone's death and it was wrote about in like publications and they became something that was celebrated after their death. Like, is it still possible to be that big like pop star of an artist?
Absolutely. I think Daniel Arsham is one of them. There's a lot. It's
But that's what I'm saying is there's a lot. So,
Art
so it
collectors
takes
and,
away
like-
it takes away from it when there's so many of them. So it's so what I'm saying is like there's you could be one of these people and I can ask someone on the street, do you know who this person is? And most people probably wouldn't know, even though they're huge artists. And that's what I'm saying is like is there a way for someone to be an artist that's like an entity that people outside of the art world hear about and are like, no, that's a really good artist. Like, Like, is that still a thing, or are we past that and are we in a new era?
I think
I see what you're
there's
saying.
several. I
because you
think
have to deal
Banksy's
with
one of them.
Saturation of creativity, and I mean, there's so much stuff. You look online now, and you're just like, okay, everything I'm looking at is great, but am I going to remember any of this? Because there's so much to remember.
Yeah, but
Right.
but to be honest, even older artists, not everyone knows about. Maybe a 4, 5, but I think we're coming to a place where there's room for all of that. And if really it becomes about what kind of what kind of exposure is good enough for you. At the end of the day, and I still think it's the internet, everything, all of that's amazing, right? But all these special talents that we mentioned, it was more than that. They had to put legwork in that is not mentioned. You know what I mean? There are nights like that you're out at galleries that led to this other night and this other night, and it's more than just making art or just using ads online or just going viral. I have a couple of friends who went viral. Nothing ever came out. There's no sustainability
Facts.
to that.
Absolutely.
Right.
You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, you have to still decide, is my art worth that much to me, whether it's my music, that I'm willing to die for it or ride for it no
Right.
matter what,
Yep.
I think. Well,
Sustainability, impact.
I mean, I think those figures still exist, and I think is like you can take Travis Scott, prime example, right? He does music, but he also has a creative direction aspect of it, right? And designing.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm just saying, like, there's pockets of people like that. Like, there's so many, and it goes into that. It's like Andy Warhol just wasn't a photographer; he was a screen print maker. He was also, it was a socialite. Let's be what it is, and we know what comes with that territory. Me and Iz do late nights together, and I think we didn't came up together just being out late and people having conversations at late night, especially in New York City. We are blessed to be in New York City, so of course these people still can happen. I think in my life, man, honestly, for what I have done, I'm kind of something in New York. You know what I mean? And that's hard to be something in New York. If you
Very
go
hard.
to a borough here and you go
Very
this
hard.
way, somebody knows somebody that know of you. And that's important. And the lead work, as you said, I think we did that. We shook hands with people that you probably wouldn't think you should be shaking their hands. And I think that's the duality that you got to play being an artist that's going to be like,
well, it's like
forward.
I tell a lot of artists, man, whether you paint or make music, like, your art is also you, your energy, your presence. There is a value to that spiritually, how you interact with people, how people interact with you. Like, we walk into any room for whatever reason, it's just always eyes on it. We have a distinct kind of, and your artistry carries that frequency, So there's nothing wrong with being the guy that just stays home and makes art. That's great. But to me, there's a bigger responsibility to that. There's kind of a rebellion to art. Like, oh, you're actually willing to make art for a living or try to make music or do bit acting for a living. Like, because of the constructs that are being broken more and more. It's this whole, you have to have, like you said earlier, that's by this age, you're supposed to be this and have this. And, like, the people that test those boundaries, I just feel like keep humanity alive, bro. So you don't get into the same boxed in everything. Your same boxed in life,
For sure. They keep us inspired. Otherwise, you'd quit and just, like, a lot of people quit and they just go and be like a fucking father or a mother and, like, make that their, priority and just, like, go get a paycheck. You know what I mean? Like,
I thought
some
about what you
people
said.
do that shit, bro. Like, it's hard.
I think it is harder today for talent to be exposed with all the saturation. So back in the day, if you had some crazy talent, there wasn't so much you had to, like, cut through. You have to cut through so much. So there's less information, there's less way to present your work. So if you had that talent, you were able to cut through. Now I think a lot of talented people, people might not even get to hear about those people anymore because there's so, especially in the art world or film world, it's becoming a bit of a popularity game. So people can learn how to do this stuff And if you're savvy in the way of getting it out there, you're going to get more exposure and a bigger name than someone who may be more talented but has no clue on how to deal with today's way of possibly marketing or getting your work out there. So when real talent comes through, I'm just like, damn, that's amazing, because it's like they're really focusing on their art and not as much getting the art out there.
No, I agree with everything you said, but this is what I've learned. Work ethic and that drive, that is also an art and a talent.
100%.
And not
I'm not taking away
everyone
from
has
that.
it. And
Yeah.
I agree. That is the most, to me, right, in the music game especially, is the most underrated talent. It's the drive that actually drives the whole freaking engine.
Yeah.
So, yes, the artistic talent, of course, is, but if you don't have that extra drive that kind of connects you to other things, whether it be savvy enough to do this or that, like, to me, that's just part of the package.
But back in the day,
But even back in the day,
but back in the day, there was, like you said, there was less avenues. Oh, get in
but-
a
but back
newspaper
in-
or whatever. But now there's, how many avenues are there now?
So it's complicated because you're right in one sense, but in the other sense,
You're wrong.
in the other sense, yeah, because there was these big institutions like galleries and music labels that ran everything. So the only way you heard music was through a music label. The only way you saw art was through a gallery.
True.
Right? And those people that ran those galleries and music labels were able to use nepotism or whatever, like they got the people that they knew to be the stars, so it was a different sort of contest of like getting people, into these spots, right? So it's not necessarily like they found talent and they were like, we need to make this person huge. A lot of times it was like, oh, well, my friend's daughter wants to be a pop star and I owe him a favor. So let's put some good money behind him and a good marketing budget, and let's make her huge.
Yeah.
So like it's complicated in both ways, but like it always has been about like the marketing and the way of you getting it out there. So it's not like, yes, hard work is important, but hard work is, you could be working hard on something that's the wrong thing to be working on. So
Absolutely.
So it's like you have to. It's all about marketing.
Now more than
I think it's
now
worse
more than
now.
ever, because there's way more outlets to
Yeah,
market.
I think it's
It's
worse
actually
now.
it's actually even harder.
You're getting actors who are like being selected because they have more followers on Instagram. That
Right.
isn't talent based.
Well, that's been happening for years.
But
Fuck.
that's
Go to
just
the
crazy.
modeling industry. Talk to me in
Yeah, that's
fucking
wild.
Cavier. I didn't get seen for shit because I had less than like 50,000 followers.
Yeah, I mean, that's stifling seeing a talent that, could be up there doing some cool shit. It's like, well, they're not good at getting followers on Instagram. Is that linked to them being a good actor?
Well, it's linked in some
There's
ways.
a lot
I would
that
say.
comes into that.
I would say someone with a really big personality, who is like attractive and also has a talent, is likely to get some following on Instagram. Considered that they think it's important and are always like promoting themselves.
Well, I think personally, honestly, it's a combination of both. It has to be, like, this word to me is duality. You got to pay both sides of the script to be like someone these days. And I do agree with Richie in the aspect of like, they found you based off your talent, not because you can market yourself and put yourself out there. But now you have to do that regardless if you are the most talented. If you are the most talented, there's people that endow with beautiful paintings, but you got to ask yourself as the artist, like, do you want to be the artist that get recognized after you die, or you want to be recognized while you're alive? And I think, for me, I want to be recognized while I'm alive, and that's no ego. It's just the reality of not letting yourself, like, not see the best version of yourself. And I think that's important for me as an artist, to see, like, I got from here to here. I could tell you where I first started painting. I painted under the subways. Now to say that, yo, I'm about to be doing an auction with some of my favorite artists that's living or not living and was selected. I can see the growth in Sotheby's, like, in fucking South France. Like, and that's what makes me click to, like, okay, maybe I can be this. I have this saying, I create and I destroy my ego, right? Because we can all be here, but we all can be down here. So to me, I'm like, okay, I just did this. It just gave me hope to say I could be this, right? Like Samuel L. Jackson, a star of his own, right? He was a crackhead. So it's like, go back to the prime, right? So it's like, he was a crackhead at 40, correct? So think about it. Like now, look. No, he was. He would tell you that. So we go.
Yeah.
Right. So we go to prime. What is that? And I think that also goes back to artistry, and I think, it's not a cap unless you're not there to see it. To be the vision of what you're supposed to.
He could have been the best crackhead too.
The only cap is yo. The only cap is.
I love
effort.
you. That's a joke. That's a joke. That's a joke. I
Yo,
love you saying
Samuel
that,
L, bro, I'll punch him for you.
I love.
Same
No,
here.
that's a joke.
You see, he wear a
That's a
hat like
joke.
Samuel
The-
too.
the- The
For
only
real
cap
though.
is
He thinks
effort.
the
I
white
don't know what made me
Samuel.
bring him up, but it was just like it's a prime
That's
example.
inspirational though, bro.
Yeah, that
Because
shit
you look
makes
at his
me
life up to that point, you're like, this freaking guy's a failure, right?
Right, quote unquote.
He goes on after 40 to become,
and like everybody know, and he's
and
such
that
a,
goes to effort. He didn't give
Right.
up
Yep.
for whatever reason, even
Yep.
then.
Yep.
He's calling.
Right. But I mean, at 40, but it's like, how many people trying to be successful in their 20s versus saying like this gonna be a long race? You know what I mean? It's a marathon. You know.
I also
Really.
think that's I posted an image of Rick Rubin like the other day. It wasn't of him, but it was like of one of his quotes, and it was like your art starts being good or something. You do remember what it said? You liked it. It's like your art starts being good when you start ignoring the audience. You know what I mean? So I think that's also the really important part of being an artist, is that like not thinking about the outcome or what people are going to like, just like constantly creating and growing and like making shit
But do you
better,
think, but do you
different,
think that's
like-
even possible to make art now without thinking about the audience at all? I don't think that's
Absolutely, but it is possible. It's just hard to do. You have to let go of your ego and your and understand that you are an individual, and that's why people are successful, because they're just doing them, and people like that.
Yeah, but you are you. What is you? You is something that you present to other people.
You is a word.
You is a No, I know, but you can't like separate the audience. Like, if we were gonna not think about the audience at all, we wouldn't make art.
Disagree.
I fully disagree with that too.
You gotta make art.
You're only who you are because of other people.
What? No, that would
Okay, question. If
That
no
would-
one was ever gonna see these pictures, these paintings, would you still make them?
No.
Wow. I don't- I don't-
Interesting
Art is meant to be
question.
shared.
We're not saying that, but
Not all art. A lot of people just make art for themselves.
I'm a writer director. I'm gonna write till the day I die because I love the process of writing. I have to write,
love
otherwise
the-
my day. Is
I
not
think
going.
there's more people that paint
I-
and make music and do art that do not show their work than there are people that actually show their work.
And I think all those.
That's a fact.
and I think-
That's a
I
fact.
think you're right about that. And
People
I
are
think,
scared to do it
And I think exactly that's what it is. They're making art out
because
of
they're
fear.
afraid to be judged.
They're making art out of fear but they always have in the back of their mind, they're like, I can't wait to show this to people, but then they never show it to people because they're afraid.
They're not making it
Okay,
out of
I've got a
fear.
question.
They're
If you
making
went-
it because
they're
they
making it because
because
they're
they
making art, but they're not showing it out of fear.
Well,
So
Correct.
So they're not showing it.
talking to the microphone.
They're not showing it because they're afraid. You know what I mean? So
Yes, correct.
So like if you're making art to show to people, that should be the best art.
But
if you weren't
the
allowed to
best
show your
art is
to
always gonna
anybody,
be
what would you
subjective.
be doing instead of art?
I have no idea.
Dude, I think you make art because you love to do it.
I do. And
Yes,
I care
I don't
and
think you
care
make
about
it for
the-
other
and I care
people.
about the impact it has on other people.
Right. That's because I think there's different ways of making art. There's things you create because you love it. And then there's also another level of it though, where you start thinking about ooh, I'm going to do a show that's based on this, or I'm going to do a series that's based on this, or I'm going to start creating this way. But and then there's a marketing side to it. So they're separate. But you make the art because you love it and you love to do
I
it.
just think you can't separate the audience. I think it's because you love it and because people that are around you love it and you share it with those people, and it's a process that goes back and forth. You love it, the process of making it. You've been inspired by other people and you share it to inspire other people, to change other people, to make other people see something that changes their perspective.
Well,
Change your art for the audience.
personally, me, when I first started art, it was a sense of enjoyment with myself. and no one could tell me that I wasn't an artist. And so that made me feel empowered that people would look at my art and have a critique. And I remember I was like, damn, I got an audience now. And so to go back to that statement, it's like I wouldn't care if not one person came and looked at my painting. It's like the equivalent to like my father not being to one of my art shows, right? That's not one of my accomplishments to say my father came to my art show. It's to make art. It's to create something that I have the connection with versus an audience. You get what I mean?
I got a perfect example, and I got to cut you off. I'm sorry. I got a perfect example of this. Because relating to acting, as soon as you start acting for the audience, you lose the audience. You're fucked. Doesn't work. Ever. As soon as you start doing that shit for the audience, you're fucked. It's gone.
It's true.
And I think the same shit with art. Same shit with music.
Yep.
Same shit with painting. Same shit with photography.
Lose the passion.
That's not why we like you.
Yep.
We like you because you're doing you're saying the words in the play and you're playing that character, or you're making the paint, and you got to understand that people are going to love your shit no matter what you make.
I do understand
because it's you.
No, that's not necessarily true. Some people
the
make
people that
art.
like you
some
are
people
going
make
to
art and nobody likes it, and that's just
Right,
the fact of the
but you gotta
world.
do it.
Yeah, you got to do it. But I'm just saying, why we make a distinction between that's like a full line in between making it for other people and making like can the two things be true at once? That you're making it for yourself, and we live in a world where we're around other people, and the whole process of it, it's amazing and you enjoy it. But part of it is also that you share it and that other people are involved in it. That like the two things can be true at once.
Certain things can be true at once. If you're trying to make money, yeah. And advertising, that's called fucking marketing as a painter, dude. That's called advertising as a
business
painter.
side
That's
to
what
art.
fucking what's her face does. CJ Hendry, she does that shit. But I think that what she does though, she creates something naturally because she loves it. And then people see it and they go, holy fuck, that's amazing. We want that. And then she goes, okay, well, how can I like market this and make it bigger? Now she's doing something for the audience, right? Now she's doing something to make money because like the
I agree
audience
with
loves
you.
it. It's what
I think
that's what fucking McDonald's does.
Yeah, it's a
They make their
feedback.
shit the exact same way
It's
at
a
every single fucking
But the audience
McDonald's
have to
because
like
that's
it,
what the
though.
audience
But
likes.
it's a feedback thing. You start something, the audience likes it. You continue to do what you like, the audience likes it. It goes back and forth. It's not something that happens in a vacuum, right?
It's not one way. It's the
Yeah.
audience is gonna like what it likes. That's number one. I
That
think
too.
if you understand like how to be present making art, that's the most important thing. Versus
I think
like,
that's 100, and that's
like,
what you've been
you
saying.
know what I mean? It's like
I think-
without thinking. Sorry, just without
Sorry.
thinking. Like you got to be like programmed to like to make the audience feel like they like something. Is to me is like a setback with you as an artist to be present with yourself as an artist. So I think like yes, like you want an audience, but you don't sell out because you're trying to create an audience. The audience would come naturally if you're doing the work as the artist.
Absolutely.
I think
Absolutely.
everything all of you guys said is right. There's no
Absolutely.
like one answer to
It's
it,
not.
and all things could be possible. And to be honest,
It's
when you
duality.
live your core, you know how many times I try to walk away from music, bro, and just some crazy shit happen with some big random out of nowhere. When it's your calling, like there will be money for it, bro. It'll be like sometimes it'll be hard, and then you'll be like, damn, that's the true test of the artist. Should I quit right now and like do it, or you know? And some people quit. Most people quit. Let's be honest.
Mm-hmm.
And the few that don't end up having the Samuel Jackson story, right?
Mm-hmm.
How many people wanted to be Samuel Jackson at 37?
Everybody.
No, at 37.
Oh
Before.
well, no,
Nobody.
well, no, yeah, right, but
Yeah.
But who wants to be
well,
Samuel
shit, that's
Jackson
a good question
now?
to ask.
You know what I mean?
It's a good question to ask. If they knew the
Right.
success,
That's what I'm saying.
would you go through that hell?
Right.
Because there's a point in my life where I went through hell, and I was like,
And you
what's the
can't
point
even
of
call
this?
it.
Right.
You can't even call it. You don't know how long it lasts. It's just part of
Yep.
the whole fucking experience.
It's part
bro.
of it, and that's what makes it dope. I think that's what makes life so beautiful and worth living because you just don't know. You think these are your best years, but you're wrong. Because they're going to get even better. And I mean, even through death and all. And then you realize that it's all tranquility and it's just all supposed to happen the way it's supposed to happen. So if you're there to watch it happen, that's the magic. It's like, wow, I seen that. I was there for that. And that's like the growth of understanding and want to be present. And that's been my word of the year. It's just being present with everything that comes, negativity and positivity. But it's how you deal with it, because you can have so much positive shit happening, and you're not in balance. Now you like too above. Your nose is looking over motherfuckers. And I didn't been there where I'm like kind of got to catch that. I'm like, oh look, these fucking peasants over here, and it's. But it's like really like I don't want to be around that energy because I'm so high.
You're so right about that. And also it's just, and even if you don't put the nose up, thing,
right?
It is still like, sometimes I look, but I've shared stages with Pitbull and Big Pun and all, and like if you don't live those moments in the moments, bro, you can't live them again. Later you'll make new ones. Yeah. But being in the presence is actually all of. That should be the theme of the show, because
and honestly,
that's what it really is about.
Like magic. It's like I was present. I could talk a story about me and Iz. Like I couldn't even believe this. I'm Native Indian Black, right? Iz Puerto Rican Ecuadorian, and me and Iz hit it off. We gonna talk some stories. We hit it off really well. He came to a show I was doing with Saxford and Good Luck Dry Cleaner. They did a collaboration. Yep. I met Iz. He was like, man, I got a studio, blah blah blah. Over there in Brooklyn, right? Like, good part of Brooklyn. And I went over there. He was like, yo, I basically moved in the studio and we started making music. And he would let me go there when no one was there. And
yep, I remember this journey.
And I never forget as he helped me and mentored me into music, because it was his confidence he made me feel. And I was like, yo, like, dude, like, this is the best I ever felt doing music. And I would go over there every day religiously, damn near. And like I remember we had like a performance, and we was performing. We was always performing and practicing. Like that's what he was like. Damn, Michael Jackson dad to all of us. He was like Joe Jackson. He was like, yo, we got a rehearsal now. Come on, don't be late. y'all do it again. We'll be in that motherfucker all night. I swear to God. But he made us, me, him, and Zoe. And the fucking damn, but it's like it was crazy because I never felt that. Like it was like practice, but doing art, and I never felt like I had to practice as being an artist, if you know what I mean. It was like more natural and like embodiment versus like, yo, you gotta go to rehearsal. But it was like, so anyway, we end up performing in front of like after like 2 years of knowing each other, we end up performing at a Puerto Rican Day festival, bro. And I was on a stage like I was Puerto Rican, and I felt like, nah, for real though. It was like, to me, it was like, and to go back, it was like the duality, the vision. It's like you being present. If I wasn't, hold up, but for real, if I wasn't present, I would have not been on that stage. I wouldn't understood why I was on that stage or why it meant something to me. But it's about having that freedom, bro. I think a lot of artists wouldn't even know how to even get to that situation and like, let alone prepare for it, right? I think that's my point. It's like being present to be part of an experience that you might even knew how to even be a part of. And that's what's so dope about it. Being a fucking artist, that you can switch and be a chameleon and know how to do this versus not knowing.
Not only that, being so present that sometimes we have our plan and then we have to meet the universe's plan halfway, And most people, if you're not present, you may be, oh, I don't do that. I can't do that. I do this. And you miss these kind of special opportunities that just happen by being present. Right. You know what I mean? Because, oh, no, I can't do this. And you should just always say yes to the universe when it comes to something creative and good.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's, of course. I mean, I think that's also what you get when you start taking a risk. You know what I mean? Like, you threw yourself in, like, the deep end. You know what I mean? Like, you don't know how to swim, and you get thrown in some water. Like, you got to fucking, or like you put yourself there, I should say, right? Like you're trying to figure that shit out. You know what I mean? Like, and you got somebody next to you.
It's funny that you're saying all this because we just did a song together that it like encompasses like all of this. So.
Oh really?
What
was the song called
for the new project they got?
Rich, could you start that for me again? What was the name? What was the name of the song?
Wind Down.
Oh, yeah,
wait, you guys did a song together?
Yeah.
We got a whole album. It's on 3 tracks.
Yeah.
No.
You guys gonna go acapella? Yeah, let's get a little acapella.
No, you know what's funny? You said a couple of words right from the verse, which is that's the only reason I bring it up. You know what I mean? I said When I wind down, got my head on the clouds, but my feet on the ground. I'm so free that I bow. Surrender is power. You the trend of the hour. I'm eternal with style, and I'm never a coward. To be great is a risk, but it's the greatest of gifts. When you placing your bets, make sure it ain't with regrets. So
Yeah.
but
You heard that.
it's like, it's crazy because when you're living your art, you're really living it. We're actually really talking about it, and that makes me feel good. Like I am broadcasting the universe's frequency. It's aligned. You know what I mean?
Hey, yeah.
Man, that's so important,
Yep.
man. Just being aligned. And like like we can sit here and act like we shamans and like ancient Mayan mindsets. But it's like the fact, but right, but it's like
talking about
right.
you.
That's what I'm saying. But we feel that we can't be something that we're not. For real though, bro. It ain't even funny. It's really God, bro. I'm talking about this guy.
Shamans and Mayans.
But it's the truth. We're not trying to be that. It's just who we are. It's
I'm fucking Buddhist
oh
now.
my God. But right. For real.
Fucking
though.
religious appropriation over here. Goddamn,
No, it's
Somodomo.
not. Don't ever
Jesus.
do that. Don't ever do that.
I'm joking.
You mean
I'm joking.
appropriate?
Hey, this guy, man.
Yes.
He come to New York, he don't know how to act.
Wait for the SOMODOMO.
White people
Jesus
can't be
piece.
Buddhist. Oh, the Somodomo Jesus piece.
Just played out there.
No, but honestly, man, like this
That'd
is
be
the
fire.
target audience. Like everybody that wants to be an artist can be an artist, and I think you got to put the work in. You got to be like really present, but also be honestly in reality. You can't live in a fantasy land when you're trying to create a fantasy land. If you know what I mean, it's like people like think stuff supposed to happen, but there's no action happening. So that's a fantasy. I think the reality is by actually putting all these things around us and say, wow, I made that. That's a 6 by 5 foot painting. I don't care if you like it or not, but the fact that it's a tangible thing that might be here longer than me or you and all of us put together, I think that's beautiful. When you know time that something that you create can outlive you. You know, that's the power of the
Yeah.
method. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Can-
for sure.
This is a question for everybody. Can everyone? Let me switch it. Does everyone have the potential to be an artist?
I just said that. Absolutely.
Yeah, I think so too.
Absolutely. I just said that. Everyone is an artist.
I think everyone is
I
an
mean,
artist.
everyone
as well.
is an artist. You just got to embrace the artist in you. I think everyone has quality of
I
artists.
agree, but does everyone have the potential to embrace the artist in them?
Yes.
They do, but you gotta. It's an action driven thing. Like I just said.
I think you're able to do anything.
You
I
just
think
gotta have
I think we
action.
just answered it in all these other answers.
right,
Like,
but you had to
it's
have
if
action.
you have the bravery to let it
it's
live.
action.
Right.
It's
And
action. It's
so-
all
and
action.
most people don't.
And
Most
sometimes
people
action
hide it.
stops and get interrupted, but how you understand that it was interrupted and get back into it, right? And that's
So-
the main question.
So it sounds like we're saying that unless you do the action of art, you're not an artist. No?
I think there's an element. I think there's an element of luck in the fact that even if you're a little kid, did you pick up a paintbrush or did you pick up a camera? For whatever reason, maybe you saw your parents do it, so you give me a go at that. So you might be an awesome fashion designer, but you never tried it, so you don't know. So I think everyone has a creative skill or talent. I think everybody does, but maybe just never had the opportunity to even pick up the instrument that allow you to even explore it or have a go at it. And like I was lucky, I saw some stuff my dad did as a graphic designer. Went, that looks kind of cool, and I gave it a go. If my dad hadn't been a graphic designer, maybe I'll be selling stocks. I don't know. But I think there's an element of like luck to it. And not saying luck like, oh,
Yeah.
you fluked it. You were like lucky to see something that was inspiring to you, and
Yeah.
you give it a go.
I agree, but is it luck or is it just destiny?
Actually,
But also, after
honestly,
thousands of years, though, you also
I
got to
don't-
understand that
honestly-
people have been weeded out, and people do certain things over thousands of years of generations of fucking humanity and like cultures and shit like that. Like things over that long amount of time, like I'm sure somebody down your fucking family tree, my family tree, his family tree, like that's some DNA shit being passed on too.
I believe
You know what
odds,
I'm
bro.
saying?
I believe in the testament of odds. Like you can walk out, like God forbid, you can walk outside and get hit by a car. Like the possibility of that is lied in odds. It's not that it can happen. It's just that the ability to be there is more or
But
less like the tangible
chance.
reality. It's a chance for anything.
But you create better odds for yourself
I believe that.
by living the art. Right.
Right.
I'll give you a great example. Right. We did something called the Rocksteady Festival. Right. Rocksteady crew. I don't know if you got
Yeah, I've heard of
one
that.
of the most legendary hip hop dance. They used to have a festival in the summer. It used to be on the piers right over here, 14th. Long story short, as a team back then for that project, we invested, put up X amount of money. So we did that show. There's actually a really funny story for another time behind that whole show. But anyway, we did that show, right? Couple of years later, couple of, maybe like 2 months later, I'm on a packed L train, right? Random, right? Some guy, packed, bro. When I say packed, like fucking elbow to elbow. A guy at the other end of the train is like, yo, I never met this guy, bro. Waving, for I thought I was bugging. He was at the show, right? He introduced us to another person who introduced us to, next thing you know, we had like, $50K investment in the music and so yes, it was total luck, but it was other pieces to the luck.
Right.
He would have never
absolutely.
seen us at the show if we didn't invest in actually being a vendor there. Like,
Right.
it's
correct.
just sequences that happen. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
I'm
There's always
talking
they always say
about
create your
when
own
you're
luck.
a child. So like, yes and no. Like when I was a kid, I didn't do anything to. I understand what you're saying. It's like that luck that you've done something for those opportunities to happen. I was lucky enough to have parents who were into music and creativity and all that kind of stuff. If I hadn't had that, then maybe I wouldn't have been doing what I do now. So I
Right.
feel lucky in the fact
I'm
that
the
my parents
opposite.
did that.
My parents loved music. I heard them sing, but they didn't ever picked up an instrument around me. You know what I mean? So I just think your frequency from when I used to not think that, but it's not random. Nothing is random.
Right,
That's
but
what I'm
where
saying as well.
I don't feel
that's where I'm
anything
getting at with
it
the
could
words.
possibly mathematically with the perfections the universe makes and just our existences, right? Like breathing, pumping. These things are exact math, bro.
But
It's
math
not
is
luck
odds.
involved in that. You know
Right.
what I mean?
Math is a lot of odds in there, and I think that's what I'm getting at. Like that word to me is significant to my day to day. I could choose to make something, or I can actually do it, right? But the odds of me doing that is probably gonna be more leaning towards me doing something versus me not. So I put those positions in myself, or you can position yourself to be in a positive situation, which I think is also important. Being present, also being like actually in reality and saying like, okay, I was actually at this event where I was supposed to perform, right? But then something good happened with that. You created good odds versus not going there and performing, right? How that guy would have been waving at you if you wasn't actually there, right? So that's being present. You know what I mean? Right. All the above.
Yeah, I think when it comes to Richie, like, and it's kind of what I was saying, it's pretty much what you're saying. Like, yeah, like, first of all, the fact that we're alive right now, like, you won the odds of, like, surviving all the plagues and all the fucking wars and all the
Right.
bullshit, right? For thousands of years, first and foremost. Like, your family tree was strong enough, they made things happen, whatever. Second of all, like,
Crazy. That's not
that,
luck.
yeah, it's
That's
not
numbers.
luck, right? And then, like, a series of events happens where, like, down the line, like, somebody's interested in something, it gets passed on a little bit. Like, I get my voice from my mom. Not that I have the greatest voice, but my mom's a singer. You know, she was the fucking, you know, artist and stuff like that. My dad's the athlete, so I get that from
R.I.P.
him. You know what I mean? And it's like, you know, all that shit gets passed down. You just don't think about it when you're young. But it's all, I think they, you know, and they got those things from their parents, and their parents got those things from their parents. You know what I mean? But then there's also obviously people that, like, completely break off. But I think it's all correlated.
Yeah, it's all the above.
Well, like all the information that you receive in your life, whether you're a kid or you're adult, and all the tools that you have, like whether it's a camera or a microphone or whatever you might use to make your art, it could either put you in a direction where you end up pursuing something. So maybe if I have a camera in my house when I'm a kid, I might end up being a photographer, but I might be shooting so much and then I might get a lot of praise for it. And then within the next like 10 years, I don't even want to do photography anymore. You know, so like some people, like they exhaust something and then they don't want to do it anymore. So like it is, yes, like it's all luck. Yes. And like also odds, whatever, it's math. It's all the same really. But then there is something else that's like an element like outside of the tools and the information that you get that leads you in a certain path that I think is like sort of what is saying.
I think
Indeed.
it's a spiritual bonding with the correlation of actually being bonded to like being present, all the above. It's not one way. It's just really why I can't say it's like because some shit ain't fair what might happen to you, and that might be the odds versus it being luck. I don't believe in bad luck or I don't believe in luck. I believe in the odds of just being present and like whatever happens, and you go with the flow, or you don't go with the flow. You know what I mean? It's like you can't be one all the time either. You know what I mean? But if you just one sided of it, you're gonna miss the other side of it.
Right.
You're not gonna prepare for that.
True.
You're right.
Preparation.
Another quick story. So we had the same record with Pitbull, right? Was Playing Out West. Back then, this is like early mid 2000s. So like we didn't know the impact of that. You know, we're from East New York, Brooklyn. We just want Hot 97 to play our shit. Like we don't care about it, you know, until you learn about it. Anyway, it was a Sunday night and somebody made like a fucking bite record of our record with Pitbull that was starting to blow up out west, right? I'm in the car pissed. I'm like, yo, should I do some street shit? You know, like from East New York, there's access to certain things, which we, without getting too crazy. Long story short.
Guys,
right?
we have nothing to do with this whole
But-
podcast.
No, long story short.
Plead the fifth.
I just told myself, you know what? I'm just going to chill. I'm going to sleep on it. See, you know, the very next day, bro, sourcemagazine.com. We had like 3 articles, like out of nowhere. And 2 Hot 97 DJs played the record. One on Monday, the next day, and the other one on Wednesday. So it's just like no way to. I think that your faith in yourself and your art is like by far the most important thing. Whether you want to be seen, whether you don't, all of the other variables, it's like, what do I think about my shit? You know, and if you got that energy, combining all of the things we've all spoken about, something special. The reason I still do this is because there's always movie-like things that happen to me for no reason. It could be something that could be very random and shouldn't even be complicated, but it happens artistically for me, whether it's great or not great, you know? So I'm like, damn, I'm still in the movie. I'm still in this art movie, because if not, that weird-ass shit wouldn't it? So that's kind of my gauge,
Yeah,
you know?
you're in his movie. We know that. We know that. Let's talk about some of the actual fucking art that we got in here. Maybe let's get a freestyle rap going. Cavier, Richie, you want to grab that fucking bottle of Prosecco that we got over there?
We got Prosecco.
Hell
My
yeah.
favorite. Well, I mean, you know, I think with me and Drew, we are always having this self-discovery, you know, like I would say intuition versus illusion, because I don't even know what the hell intuition is.
Intuition? What the fuck word
Like
is
we
that?
in tune,
I've never
man.
even heard of that.
We in tune, bro.
Oh.
No, but
Intuition.
I made that up. I wanted to just give that, you know, affirmation to that word. Intuition, nigga. We in tune, by the way, guys. But no, for real. Like, literally, I think it's hard for. I have a great mentor, Carrie Bean, and me and her started painting together, and like we hated each other out of moments. And you know, Carrie, she's an older, you know, woman, and like, you know, but she's a master. Like, literally has her master's in painting, and it was so hard to like. But she was always right, and I didn't mind learning. And I think everybody should accept like this learning aspect of like wanting to collaborate. And me and Drew, we have the most natural, especially men. Like you know, I have, you know, femininity in me to where I can accept. I think every man needs to embrace femininity. Like, one, to be able to create together, even to be able to harness that emotion to say, this is ours. We are sharing this. We are sharing a time. And, you know, I think collaborative instincts along with that is being that person that's saying, okay, this seems really symbiotic, right? And the first thing me and Kerry came up with our first show, like 6 years, it was like, this is like really like a two peas in a pod situation here. We are really actually painted on the same canvas, and we got through hell and heaven at the same time. And I think me and Drew don't have that. It's like we twins. You know what I mean? It's like we think almost alike, so there's no like combative like reasoning to why we doing this. You know what I mean? I think that's what's so dope about why we paint together. Like we like a lot of the same colors. It's a duality in our method, even though the characters and subject matter might like range, but it's still a presence of being there together versus like we got to figure out each other. And that's no disrespect to Carrie Bean, by the way.
That's cool. Yeah. I mean, listen, you got to learn from something and then go somewhere. But I think like if you're not constantly trying to learn and like have that ego death of like, oh, maybe I can learn something new, or like maybe your ego is telling you that like you know everything, like you figured everything out. Like, bro, there's always something more to learn. Like no matter what,
right.
no matter what you're fucking doing. Like, and as soon as you, and I think as soon as an artist or anybody in general gets to that point where they're like, like, oh, I've done that, I've done this, like I know how to do that, like I've already, like blah 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 blah. It's like you just stop growing, and you just become this like bitter fucking, like you plateau. You know what I mean? So if you can't continuously learn and like be vulnerable in that, and like then you're gonna get stuck. You're gonna get stuck always.
Egg white.
I mean, I think when we first met or so, when we first started working together, we were doing music, which made sense because I was like making the beats. And then,
cheers.
And then you were singing on it, right? Which is like perfect symbiotic relationship. But I remember when we did those first couple like paintings together, I didn't really know what my style was, like what I like to do, right? And I looked at you as an artist that like I respected and I liked your art. I was like, oh, he's gonna let me paint on one of his canvases, and I was like getting excited and like, but it wasn't special to me, I didn't know myself. I was just kind of like adding a little some spice to it, like adding pepper on a chef's like beautiful 5-course meal. On top of the rigatoni. A little cacio pepe.
Let me point that out. Let me tell you how me and Drew met. Crazy. He was actually I don't know if he wanted me to tell you guys this, but he was a nanny, which I always thought was a funny term for a man being called a nanny. And
I've applied to be a nanny before.
Yeah, I know. Trust
actually,
me.
I prefer babysitter.
I never forget that. I told somebody that story recently, actually, and I was like, I was about to watch Annie Leibovitz fucking kid. I was like, that was so strange. Yeah, true story.
I never told you that? Yeah, so that was maybe 2021, 2020.
Yeah,
2020.
Very recent. He never told you that? Yeah, it was crazy. I was with him when he...
2021, I was living with my friend Shiro at the time, and she was a nanny for a very, 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 very wealthy family. And there's a company here in New York that has those clients, and what they do is they find nannies. And Annie Leibovitz wanted a male nanny.
Yeah, but hold up. The point is,
I'm just getting to it. Yeah, so
I went that stemmed from another story,
right? Because it's like
and that reminds me of another story.
I'm like, that wasn't the point here. I'm trying to get to how I know.
No, I was about to cut it off anyways. I went to it. I didn't get the job.
No, but honestly, I'm like, no, he did. But the point is, I met this dude, and like I was at this rap battle situation that was like in the Nomad Hotel or something. It was like some hotel.
Like Arlo,
Arlo
I think
Hotel.
His was there too, actually.
I think
he
you was there.
And he was there.
The rooftop, but it was the one that's in the cut, not the main one. But anyway, no,
the one over
it's
the one over by here.
At that, I got on the mic. I don't remember that. I was drunk.
You were too.
I was like, but he was watching a kid, and like I don't know, Drew was looking fresh that night too. He had like some like little outfit. I was like, this motherfucker like an A&R or something. I was like, the way he was acting, he was like, yo, I want to do music with you guys. Then I was like, all right. Music with me. He's like, I don't know what came about that. And so anyway, like he actually came to my studio one day, and we ended up that's when the birth of me and Drew happened. I was working in a dungeon. I call it Dungeon Part 2, I think. It's Dungeon Part 2. And I'm working literally, this is a studio that you had to like go in this crawl space, come under, and me and Kerry had the backyard. You know that spot.
Oh my God, yeah.
And he came through there one day after that shit.
That place is
And
fire.
we start recording music on his iPhone 4, bro. And
iPhone 4.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
still had the button on the bottom.
yeah, and we had the little headphones, and that was the mic. And we would record, and Drew would put these auto tunes on my voice, and it would be like, I'd be like, ooh, I like that. I like that, Andrew. But that gave me confidence to meet Is and say I do music. You get what I mean? So it was me believing just through the influence of him, like, I do music. You ain't really do music. He made some beats for his friends in college and shit, but he didn't really do it. He like came there kind of unprepared and shit. I'm like, we about to record on your phone and we gonna do something. But me, I'm just like,
I was thinking,
I'm resourceful.
I was thinking I'm gonna go there, and I was starting to get into painting. I was like, I'll go over
Yeah,
there and
exactly.
we'll paint a little bit. And then he was thinking like, oh, he's gonna come over here and he's gonna record me.
Yeah.
Caviar will figure out a way to make art no matter what the circumstance. This motherfucker
was
will
true.
pull shit off the street. He'll record on iPhone 4s. He'll fucking
Hey, it was a,
He'll
it
do
was a
anything.
method to the madness. And the fact 5 albums later, it started out of curiosity, and I think I still have that. And I think he still has that. We all still have that. The curiosity is so important because it helps us triumph the creativity by being present, bro. And I keep saying that because it's like, if I wasn't present and be like, yeah, man, give me a number, man. Like, let's do this. Let's hang out. It would have never happened.
correct.
Same shit with you. We met off you paying me $75 for a photo shoot.
$75.
And I value him. I was like, oh,
Hey,
this man spent money.
Yo, what you're saying though is it just fits because it's so true. Like if we wouldn't have, not everybody. Do you know there's like the percentage of people that could go up to someone else and be like, yo, I want to make art with you and whatever that is,
175.
bro. That is like, it's such a minuscule because everyone has these pre
cheap ass.
programmed fears of being an artist.
Sorry.
But it is. See, that's the thing. To people that do it, it is, you know? Yo, I was shy until I was like 14. I wouldn't even speak to anybody. And then out of nowhere, it's like, and this does go back, I will say, all of this is true, what you're saying. But my father would always be like, yo, say hi to everybody. You never know whose day you're going to make just by saying hi. And I think that's what made me an artist, even more than the musical talent. It's just there has to be a brazziness to you, you know, to reach this echelon of sharing your art, your initial art with this your personality, you know?
Presence. Like I love the fact that hey, why you worried about it, dog?
Well,
You hungry?
you getting fucking antsy over there? You
The other guest.
what you got? Your little ants in your
Yo,
pants?
you can go get some KFC.
You trying to go work out? I know.
Ribby still going. Nah, but honestly, man, it's just I think like the fact that we all have these like commonality like traits. It's like wow. It's like it make us understand that like family is literally La Familia is like different, like from just you accepting your blood family. You know, it could be someone that have the mindset or the same spirituality you have, or the same like cadence of how you feel about being in the universe and being an individual. I think that's what makes me love you all guys, like in a different way, but the same way, because you all are different, but we all have the same capabilities to be great. And I think that's what make like a bond between like men. I think we lack that as a society also, is like not appreciating like everybody different, like courts and qualms or whatever, right? It's like we are here to be different, but we are also here to be able to embrace each other by being different. And we do that as a friend and a collective, no matter if somebody else getting the butt end of the joke entirely. So you get gained on, but pause, it's just like it's just like nah, for real, but it's like we all accept each other to be like ridiculed and just also put each other on a high horse too, you know, pedestal, you know. I think that's the great part that we have as friendships too, you know, like we need that to be great artists. I don't want to be a lonely artist and my friends hate me because I'm successful. Like they hopefully, God forbid, that they all are successful and they're not unsuccessful. You know what I mean?
I also said that on our project, by the way. Coming up, just plugging our, you know.
Oh yeah. By the
want
way, the
everybody.
project is
Bounty.
called Dark Dreams. By the way, the new
Yo.
album is being launched April 1st on April Fools. It'll be
It's
the
gonna be
anniversary
solid,
of
bro.
our second album we released on April Fools, and I think this one got to come out on April Fools because the joke is on you, motherfuckers, not us.
That was the name of the last
Yo,
album, right?
so
Joke
the
on You?
verse
That
went
was
like
one of
this. Verse went, he's uncanny. Tried to give him grief, now they give him Grammys. Vigilante, how he killed them beats. Better get the Cavier, him and Cavier, motherfucking beast. Split the bounty, they eat, you know everybody eats. Feed the family, always going back to the family.
You know what I mean?
The beats. Yo, Somo went off on this
He
album.
did.
Sheesh.
Yo, and-
Someone's
and- But hold
like-
up, you know what? It was inspired by one night. I don't know what happened. We made like 7 songs in one night. Drew slept on the
fire.
table in Ev's studio. I slept on the couch. Fuck it. I was performing on top of the table. Like we was really like it was just me and him. Like we was just in there and the sun came up and I was like, he wasn't even drunk or high. I was just fucked up and I was like, he was just like, man, I don't know what's going on. And I was just like, man, let's do another one. Let's do another one. Let's do another one. I was like, you get a car.
And then we woke up and we did some more, I think.
And we did some more. We did some more. So we made a lot of this album in one night. And then we start mastering it and like really making it better, adding in different like, you know.
And the dreams I had that
sounds.
night, they
Yeah.
were dark.
Yeah.
Scary.
Dark
Yeah.
dreams.
I was on
Yes.
some shit back then. I mean,
Dark
Dark
Dreams.
Dreams stuck with it. It just stuck. The title, like I had some crazy
That's the name?
dreams.
Dark Dreams?
Dark Dreams.
Oh, yeah, I knew that.
Yeah, we tried Joke's sorry ass cover art too just then.
Yeah,
Drew
what
said-
was
Drew
that? I
said
don't remember.
He hated it. He said, I don't want no AI for this shit. So we came up with a great idea.
Yeah.
And
It was just a starter.
we're gonna
I would never have put that as
we're
the
gonna
final.
have
I said, get Kyle's shit out
We
of
were
here.
Yeah, he
we were
did.
fucking around
He
though.
said
We were
that shit was
you were
sick.
at my house when we did that.
He
I was
said
just
shit-
I was just fucking
he
around.
was geeking out. He was like, "Ooh, this is so crazy." I was like, it is pretty
You
cool.
squirrely ass
But it's
motherfucker.
true. He was so hyped, but I was like, I showed it
Yeah.
you, and you was like, nah.
Kyle has he has the ability to like change opinions because
Yeah.
he gets so excited
He
about
does.
something. I'm like,
He
I
does.
guess this
He
is
does.
pretty good.
That's one of his powers.
No.
That's one of his powers.
It is.
He make you believe in yourself. It's a fake motivator. He's like, pump it up, and it's like, really? Really?
I am a good hype man. Yeah, I'm a good hype man.
You're good.
Maybe that's why I got my own fucking podcast, because I like to fucking hype people up and talk some shit. I love having a mic on me at a live event. Shit, I oh my god!
Really?
If you guys were around at a fucking volleyball tournament over the summer in Wisconsin, I was on the fucking microphone, like I was
I could see you
I was
as a
announcing.
wedding MC.
I was announcing. Oh my god,
Yeah.
I'd crush that. I'd fucking crush that.
As long as
I'd
you weren't putting kids down, bro. He was like, oh, right? You weren't, right?
Bringing kids
During your
down, you
MC,
said?
Bring
you were
kids
not
down.
putting kids down, bro.
No.
No,
It was an
Right.
adult tournament. It was
Oh,
adults. It was
right.
adults. But I will talk some shit to a little kid if he's fucking around, for sure.
No, but I think why we're
Can't just
friends in
be
the
nice to 'em
beginning, we all uplift, like we're all the type in our own way to uplift each other and ourselves, and I think that's a common trait we all share, honestly.
All right, this is the part where we bring in the 20 girls with BBLs, and they're going to line up here in front of us, and we're going to talk derogatory about them. Just this is this is turning into what's the fucking show? Drew, you're leaving too. He's recruiting Drew to leave with him.
We gotta go together. Second class trip.
Oh, why, to go to the bathroom,
In order to
something
go
like
to
that?
bathroom.
Okay, I'm putting a pause on you. Pause. We'll pause.
Wow.
I'm just kidding.
You
we
edit
will
all
pause.
this
We will
anyway.
pause. Okay, so here's a good one that I know that Caviar and well, Richie and definitely Iz are gonna want to talk. Let's talk about the state of the world right now. I think this is
Wait, what?
Caviar's
Nah, man,
favorite
let's not do
topic.
that.
No. Please, man.
Well, guys, listen. This is a
It's too
free
much.
fucking open forum. So listen, I'm leaving
I don't
this
wanna talk
open
about
to
that,
to
bro.
everybody. So
Well,
like, let's fucking create
everybody
We had
together.
a
knows
good
Cavier, I
time.
love talking
We're
about
ready.
that.
That would be another 3-hour show. Yeah.
I mean, the state of the world. I mean, as simple as that. You see it. You see it.
I will
And you
say
know,
my
but hold on,
statement
but
about that.
You
Here we
see
go.
it.
The state of the world is the state of yourself.
No, but hold on.
I will leave
You
it there.
see it? Hold on, he giving some positive. You see it and then you don't. That's a.
Fucking Mayan over there, man. He's just
You see it and you don't, dog. We ain't gonna do that. But let's talk about
The
some.
shaman
Let's talk about
Mayan.
that Luka Doncic trade, the Lakers trade. I think.
You want to talk about the Lakers trade?
Hey man, I think it's the Lakers' time, dog. I think it's Lakers' time. I think well, not really. The last games, they 0-3 in the last since LeBron been hurt.
Let's talk about cocktails in the night that we're gonna have. So we got a show tonight for you. We haven't even talked
Right.
about this yet.
Right.
We're going to you're in a show right now at Maison 10, which is a beautiful gallery, awesome gallery. My friends Tom and Henri, they own it. We're going there in about an hour and a half, 2 hours. What do we got in there? What you got in there right now?
I got 3 pieces over I would say the youngest piece I would say was made in 2016. And one of the pieces' name is 17 Souls.
That's
And,
right. That's right. I saw them post
yeah.
that.
And that piece to me really kind of it hits home, especially with like just the world and just how wicked it is. And the piece was, everyone remembers the Parkland shootings that happened in 2000. I think it was 17. I think right, 2007. So 2017 actually. It was for the Parkland shootings, and I remember painting this painting after waking up and seeing the news. Everybody know Caviar wakes up and look at the news. If you know me, that's part of it. A lot of people advise me not to do it, but I do it because I need to be subjected to just not being in my own bubble.
Yeah, right.
I need to feel the world trauma to like find some healing and some like retrospect. That's why I put myself through these adversities, and so I remember turning the news on this day, and I end up just channeling that energy, and I end up making 17 figures without even really doing the math and just knowing that, or like even counted the faces until after they were made. Like in an instance, it was like 16. Then the 17th one was actually made on purpose, and it was very deliberate at that point. When I made the 17th.
This is going to be the artist talk.
Basically.
I just realized that. I'm like, hold on a second. This is the artist talk that we're about to go to.
He was just doing the, he was doing the pre-show right now.
I'm getting the
rehearsal.
yeah, we're getting the rehearsal.
Cut.
This
Cut
is the
again.
rehearsal. No, don't say that. Go back.
No, but
This
honestly,
is the rehearsal.
I just think, that was a big day for me. Just like I was probably 27 years old or something. I don't know. But it was a connecting like moment to me where I was just like, what the fuck is going on? That someone can walk in and kill 17 students. That the beacon to like being the beacon of being the next state of like being an adult, and you get your life taken from a classmate, and just of what, right? And I also try to take myself and put myself as the person that was to do something that heinous, right? It's like what that person wasn't given for them to carry out an act like that. And I think there's a lack of mental health, but there's a lack of just being present with children. And I think that's what leads to disasters and tragedies like this. And I think that painting is remnants of that moment in that day. And I think that's me as an artist. I always try to tap into those social aspects and to, apply it to where it might look like satire, but it's actually like to be like hidden social cues and injustice into our society.
That piece is amazing. As a parent, I will say you're 100% right. Like a lot of times just about communication and attentiveness in each other's lives, not just kids and parents, but like, some parent, and without trying to judge or blame anybody, but you're busy, you got work to do, all this shit factors in, and like the kids is on social media or they're on the internet researching who knows what, and you think they're good because they're in their room and nothing's up with them. But mentally, these places are taking them to a whole nother place mentally, and without the constant checking in. That's why we all big on that. You know, we text each other like almost every day, right?
Damn, it's every day.
And so like it's
up.
just a matter of us sharing that. But kids need that, and young adults need that too. It doesn't stop happening where you need that. And I think there's this thing going back to how this whole show ties in, the age shit. People think, oh, you're a certain age, like you don't need to be checked in on. Like you're still a fucking human. There's still all these Netflix movies that have happened the last 5 years, 7 years. Like people want to put all this other shit aside, and like these are all still very real things in people's minds, you know. And it's dope that you make art. And I think in general, our movement is very sensitive and relative to that, you know.
That's real. That's wise words. Seriously, I think. Just even a piggyback off that, it's just like, man, it's like, how could we be in a world where we don't seek peace, right? And as an individual, it's like wanting peace is my ultimate value, where I want it. And Kyle know, like, I just like always wanted to be free. Like, when I say free, it's like an abundance of like, not just because I can go here, but like I can go here willing without the pressures of like the norm of society. It's like, I'm here because I want to be, not because I have to be here. And I think when you can never distinguish the two, I think that's the value, when the real value of being a present person in society matters the most. It's like identifying that and saying, you know what, this is the best I ever felt. And honestly, this is the best I ever felt in my life, far as like identifying all the tangibles I have and being, you know, in reach, and also being able to look at my friends and say, yo, we doing this. We're going to be over here. And we do that. And we accomplish that. And that's like, but we also got to remember, like, there was a time when we wasn't doing that versus when we was, right? And I think that always ties back into why we want to be grace, because there's going to be a day where maybe we can't be that, you know, visceral in our approach every single day, to where now we got to take a, you know, step back and look at it and say, this is what I accomplished, but I'm okay being here versus trying to get somewhere else. You know what I mean? And we are going to get somewhere else. We have to. That's the destination, is to move forward, regardless life and death. Like, that's still a forward essence of life, you know. And I think we all got to embrace all of these moments, you know, through life and death, and just making history being relevant to now. You know what I mean? That's the presence that we got, because it ain't nothing more or nothing less than that, for real.
Question: Are you all
Yeah.
where you are as artists now, and where you were before? Where would you rather be?
Well, artistically now, right? But like in some other ways, maybe then. So it's kind of a meeting of the two. But when life and the universe brings you on this whole other place, you got to embrace it. And like, you know, there's a great poem by Khalil Gibran, The Prophet. And he talks about you can only love to the depth of which you've been hurt, or there's hate, or there's this. It's like a well, right? So if the well's shallow, then you can only feel but so much. And there is something to being an artist that that is so true of, you know, where like you have to have been in this kind of like, and it doesn't have to be any type of adversity, but it's kind of the duality of 3D, right? We live in 3D. 3D only exists because of duality, you know? So like there is a math to that, where you have to have been through a substantial amount of something that creates this artistic value. It's like this sacred geometry, you know? And so you go through, and it usually leads to this like triumphant artistic story where he's fucking made it out of fire and, you know, jumped, you know, that's just, and it's just, so I, to sum it up, because I think it's just a bit of both, man. But I am really happy that without the journey taking me here, I wouldn't have been able to make this level of art. I believe to myself, you know.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting to like.
Sheesh, I feel that same way.
Yeah, I don't know.
I feel that
it's a
same
tricky
way.
Because like, I was so naive and like with my art when I was younger. Like I think as you get older, you get less naive, and I love that naivety. Like it's just like I don't know what the fuck I'm doing here, but it's like super fun. And then you think, I wonder what it's gonna be like when I learn this new shit. And in a way, it's still fun, but you're more grown and you have more experience, and you've. I mean, I'm learning every day. I read every day. Like I'm learning new shit every day. So you got more stuff to lean on, but I didn't as much when you were just learning through doing.
Right.
And in a way, it was kind of like more fun.
Yeah.
Now it's just like, I have this stuff, so there's a responsibility to use that knowledge in your art.
Right.
I didn't have that knowledge before, so you felt more free in a way. It's interesting. I like both.
Yes. 100%.
I love what you just said, Rich. And honestly, I just want to like add to the conversation, like, and everyone knows how the inner child plays a big role in my creativity. And I think that naiveness comes in between with not reject that inner child, right? And I think that's something for me as an artist I must keep, even at 36 years old. Even at 90, I would want to be able to have those remnants. Not that it might not be the same, but there's some capacity of me knowing that, okay, I'm still there. I'm still a kid. Just because I got a kid doesn't mean I'm still not a kid.
People forget their kid. That's what your whole fucking short film on Nowness is about.
And it shows me that even with kids, right? And it's like, I could feel that. I'm like, he's still a kid because he hangs with me.
Yeah.
Like,
no, but
try to father me, like, you know what I mean?
Exactly. And that's what, and I think that sometimes you gain this experience and you stop doing those little things. And whenever I see my dark points, because I'm not meeting with Cav here and there, like, there is still a naivety that you have to keep. Like, for example, you have to, these little things, like, you don't know where the night's going to take you. We start one spot, we end up going to 5 spots. Another night, it might be the only thing we do. But it's like people used to ask me, like, what's the best events to be at? They're all the best events to be at. Because, A, it's your energy. But, B, it could be at the, another quick story I happen to have. But the first guy to play my stuff on radio, right, was, without saying his name, because that's a whole nother, I don't know how you feel about that on this, but pretty big vlogger.
Names. We love names.
So
DJ
Vlad, shout out to DJ Vlad, right?
There we go.
Before DJ Vlad was DJVlad.com, he was a big reggae style DJ out west. He comes to New York, nobody knows him here. This is right before like the social media shit really made that much easier, right? I go to a street, so he's Russian, right? He's living in like Sheepshead Bay, the predominantly Russian areas, right?
Right.
So I used to sub promote for like China Club, a bunch of these spots. He invites me out to a gig, right? I go to the gig. It's rainy out. No one shows up, right? And this is Vlad out west. This would never happen to him, But out west, this would never happen to him. And even, as he became DJVlad.com and all the other stuff, then he gained all that. Shout out to him because he works, Whether you like him or love or hate him, he
right.
works.
I mean, that's why we like names.
But long story short, because I went, right, to see him that night in the rain, 3 people were there, he went, like the next week, played my record and he happened to be syndicated in like 30 stations. And so like there is no, when we start thinking we know better, right? Sometimes you get more mature. I don't want to say age because it has nothing to do with age. But I've done these things. That down. I've done these things. I've done all. But it's deeper than that, right? It's the energy that's being expended while doing these things, right? So we think, we got to stay home. Like I may go out and network different now, right? It might be lighter. It might not be every night like when I was 24.
Right.
But it's still an integral part of my creative energy expended because it's led to so much amazing shit. And I know Cav, anybody here could testify, to that. But when you stay in that youthful place where you're embracing that energy, it continues. I don't feel stagnant at the end of the day. You know what I mean?
And that was the whole part of that film that I did that was featured on Nowness, Little Calf. And it was about the inner child and about me finally accepting that that's my agenda, is to not lose that, to create the things around me, to be present, to be seen by me being myself. And that's the inner child. That's literally like us accepting us in the mirror. It's like looking in the mirror and you still curious, like that's me, and not really knowing that it's you because you have so much curiosity. And I like that about me, because I'm really like, whoa, I did that. I'm amazed by myself because I haven't put expectations on myself, right? And I think when you allow yourself to have no expectations but still free range and just wanting to be adaptive to like any circumstance, you're gonna open up so many possibilities for your life and circumstances around you.
I got a crazy little thought, but I think that to look back and wish that you were something you weren't at a time in your past is naive. Because I don't think that means you're appreciating the journey.
No, that's not what he was saying.
No, I'm saying I missed that journey.
Yes, like the innocence.
Can you give him
of
the
it.
mic so I can hear what he's saying?
Like,
Sorry, I got the headphones on.
When you gain all that new knowledge, like the curve of how much you're learning when you're younger is huge, and I miss that huge learning curve.
Yes, but if you're not even,
But you
in the
wouldn't even
journey-
be where you are right now if you didn't
I
do
don't
that.
care where I am right now. I'm just saying I miss that.
But what I'm
But
saying
you,
is,
but you have a
don't-
choice to do that always. You have a
No,
choice.
but
to
you
do
don't
that.
have to stop. Exactly, you don't have to stop.
You have
the
a
journey.
choice. That
Yeah.
goes
As a
back to what we were
creative, we
talking
don't
about
have to
before.
stop the journey.
Okay, so like when I first started screenwriting, I was fucking awful, and my mentor was like, he would say that, like, you suck, but it was like that the challenge was like, this is hard, and you're beating your head against a wall, but it was fun to learn it. Now I'm like, that was 8 years ago, so now I'm not going to make those mistakes, and you're trying to learn what you can get better in the next screenplay, but the curve is less. It's always going to be less because I sucked so bad, but it was still fun trying to figure it out.
But do you think? Do you
But
think?
that's why you have to keep
Do you
challenging
think? Do you think
yourself,
part?
though.
Do you think part of that, looking back and seeing like, because you're making discoveries and it feels really good to make discoveries, right? But sometimes you tend to forget the frustration you feel too, you know. So like you look back and you're like, oh, I was getting all these discoveries, and like even I look back on it romantically, like when I figured out what Dogman World is and like what the face looks like it was amazing for me, and I still remember the moment of like when I drew it for the first time, but I do also remember that during that time I was like, I don't know what my style is, and I need to find a style, and I was frustrated. Like every night I was like, I need to find this, like, and it was so like, yes, I agree with you, like that discovery part is awesome, but I also feel like what is and what Kyle are saying maybe is like there's, so like that's in one genre, right, of like filmmaking or whatever for you. It's like you make all those discoveries, and that's a great time that you look back on fondly. But maybe if you tried another art, I mean, I'm speaking from my perspective now, because whenever I learn something different, I get to go through that journey again, and I'm starting to like look like I'm starting to like see myself in those shoes of like getting past the point where I'm just learning it, and I don't feel frustration anymore because I'm really enjoying that process of it.
Okay, I hear that, but what he's saying, I feel like, I mean, like, and I think this is not an argument, but this is more or less like the question was, like, do we feel like that we are still present with that sense of like that we still have that naive, like, you know, like just really just curious, the curiosity, right? It's like we do lose that once we figure it out naturally, right? It's like once we figure out how to do that, it's like, okay, we ain't gonna play on this keyboard for the first time like it was from the first time, right? It's like telling a kid, like walking at the first time, like it's gonna feel like those first steps again. Like, no, that kid walk those first steps, like they're not gonna have that same first feeling and interaction with their parent for them seeing them walk those first steps, right? You know what I mean? So I think it's a sense of not losing that, but I get what he's saying, the correlation of like not feeling like it's like going Halloween trick-or-treating for the first time, and like understanding that it was the first time you
Yeah.
did it.
No,
Yes.
I get
Yeah.
what
I
you're
mean,
saying. Those are
that's-
amazing memories. Like
first timers, you can't compare first time.
You can't.
First
Yeah.
time for anything is there's that's why
Yeah.
it's the first time.
But that's also why I was saying
it
like
is that
like learning
feeling
a
of losing.
yeah.
That like
But
ability, you
but
know
like
what I mean?
like imagine the first time. I can't remember this, but imagine the first time you sang as a kid.
horrible.
No, I'm not saying horrible.
No, I mean,
don't
I'm
think
telling you,
I don't think I
horrible.
was thinking whether it was horrible or not. I just probably
Well, I mean, looking back,
I just probably was like, what did my voice just do? You know,
Yes,
like
right.
I probably wasn't I wasn't judgmental of it. I was like, I just let out a note.
Absolutely.
And like
Absolutely.
now
Right.
at this point in our lives, we can't, if we're in public or even private, we got so many voices in our head saying like, you suck, like you shouldn't sing, or you should sing like this, or that was the yeah. You're either thinking I shouldn't sing because I'm not good, or you're thinking, oh, that note should be better or whatever. You know. Yeah, you're right.
Here's
You're
the
totally
thing,
right.
and here's my experience and something that I want to kind of add into this, because I got there with photography, right? Like I was really curious back in 2017, 18, started shooting a lot, and I got to a point and I realized that I got fucking bored with it, and I got stagnant because I wasn't continuing to keep pushing the boundaries of what I was doing and trying to shoot in a new way, trying to use lighting in a new way. What I got stuck into was doing the shit that was working for me, and also how I could make money off of it,
Yeah.
and just the shit that works. If you just continue to stay curious and continue to keep pushing your boundaries and challenging yourself, it's like going to the gym. I'm bored as fuck right now in the gym because I'm not working towards anything, because I'm not doing new exercises, because I'm not researching shit and like being like, oh, I could fucking do that in the gym and that could be really hard, or like
Right.
setting, or even like trying to accomplish a goal for like a month. You know what I mean? Like I'm bored there because I just keep going to the gym, like doing the things that I know.
it's routine and
You
breaking
need to do
repetition.
things that you don't know, because that's
know,
where
it's funny,
success
as a
and
music
creativity
artist-
and growth lies.
Curve gets less and less as you get older, because even if you went to the gym now and you tried something new, you would still know, well, I better not do that because I might hurt myself. Whereas when you were starting out being super naive, you might go, oh wow, I just like tweaked my shoulder.
Well,
Then
there's
we got fear
definitely
at that
there's
point.
Of
definitely
course, yeah.
Right, but and you're better now. Like for example,
Hold up.
Be better, but then
we're making music.
Hold up. You turned your mic off. You turned your mic off. Those
Yeah, it's not on the talk show, man.
is. What the fuck are you doing, bro? You ever used a mic before?
Could have sworn
Yo,
he performed
no,
before.
I put it
You
down. I
performed-
must
have you
it's
performed-
my-
I swear to
Nah,
God,
he
I
cut
thought
it
you
off. He was
performed at
nervous
Puerto
over
Rican
there.
Day parade. So it was
He was
just you.
anxious.
It was just you at the Puerto Rican Day parade, then, right?
Yeah, I think
so as a,
You were the stand-in. You were.
that
is
was
a
he was
stand-in.
the stand-in.
I was,
Yeah.
singing, I was singing all that Spanish music, guys.
Nah, the
Like
truth
every
is, all
fucking
Latinos
morning.
have. There's a lot of really dark
You cholo?
Latinos, and yes. You don't have a mic.
Man,
Are you going to Philly to see D'Angelo?
Oh, for the Roots picnic.
Yeah,
thing?
yeah.
Maybe We
Roots
should build
picnic
on
would
that,
be
though.
fire.
If
I
you
would
wanna
go to
go, I'm
that.
going with
I
you.
would go to that.
All right, cool. But basically, like whenever I just listen to every other kind of music as a songwriter and music person. I listen to just random kinds of, honestly, like these guys will tell you, like the most random and people will like get in the car wherever I'm at, and it's like, this is the way I challenge myself to stay fresh in perspectives of me. I mean, everyone has to find their own way to do that. You know what I mean? But like listening in a Middle Eastern funk and like it just sparks different brainwaves for me. You know?
Here's the other thing that I want to add to this, because, okay, sure, your point of, it's not going to be as big of a fucking boner spike when you first done something. Sure, of course. That's the fucking point.
What?
Yeah. You get a big old boner, you get all super excited that you did something for the first time.
Yeah.
Sure. But the point
That's what you're doing
is,
last
the
night, I
point
think.
is, the point that I'm trying to make is that, think about sports, dude. Like, LeBron and Steph, like, they need to keep adding new shit because younger people and other things are just, they're creating new ways to play the
That's
game.
competition. Art ain't competition.
Well,
Here's a question.
Art doesn't need to be
Here's a
competition.
question for you.
No. It's not about competition. It's about skill and being better and growing
I guess.
to get better at what you're doing. That's all it is.
Here's a question. If you could wake up tomorrow as an artist, would you rather be where you are today or where you were on the first day you tried?
I'd rather be where I am today.
Yeah, I'd rather be today.
Because listen, the excitement goes away. You have to get excited about the process and continuing to learn and grow.
I would love to be where
because you're
I'm
not
at.
as good of an artist as you were when you first fucking
Yeah.
started.
Right.
Now you're good, and you're only getting
right.
better. That's
Right.
why I love
Right.
getting older.
Right.
That's why I love being an artist every single fucking day and having days like this where we're fucking creating shit. Because I'm like, oh shit, I haven't done it yet. Let's keep going.
But that's the
let's keep
irony
trying
of
to
it, right?
figure it out.
When you're living the art, right, you end up in these crazy events. Like him and I are always at, like, because we're living it. We're living it. So what we happen without us even trying, we're with the youth and we're experiencing their energy at the stuff where it's just combining with our experience. It's just really about reluctance. What I've noticed with a bunch of artists that have really become masters or close to that in their craft is they stop being inquisitive and, like, I mean, maybe it's easy in music and like networking because you're going out and it's bars and it's DJs, but it's not as simple as that, you know? It's not just me going to get drinks, you know? One conversation, one beer with it has led to, like, there's a million stories of that from everybody. So it's
Correct.
about not locking yourself into a box where you think this is what you are.
Well,
You know?
I know why I want to say that. Why the fact that I would prefer being where I'm at right now is because I wouldn't want to have to relearn anything, and I want to, because I don't live my life in any regrets. So it's like knowing that I came from X, Y, and Z now is the product of X, Y, and Z. So I'm not going to start over to try to go to figure out X, Y, and Z because I already did it. And so I think that's growth, and that makes you want to actually be understanding why you even want to go deeper.
That's why we love Samuel Jackson's story.
Yeah, I mean, but this is ties back into being what's in your prime. You know, is age, you know, the same, you know, correlation that it represents in society versus it not being, like, because there's people that have, you know, great success at a young age. We're talking 5 years old in movies, and then you see them, they drugged out or they dead or committed suicide. And I'm like, I always looked at it in my life, I would say the next word, pivot. I always want to be able to pivot when I wanted to pivot, because you lose your pivot, you travel, you walk, you lose all fundamentals of what the play was supposed to be because you had an era that you could not recalibrate, right? And I think that's always been something important for me as an artist, and as me, an artist growing older and adapting to my surroundings. It wasn't about because I was becoming more advanced. It's because I accepted the reality around me. And I think, like, we all can say that we always had to pivot in an exchange of, you know, you just lost your mom, right? You don't quit in life because you lost your mom. You move forward in life because you lost your mom. You could go backwards.
Yeah, there's people that stay.
But then it's like, why, when you already know the results based off the information that's out there, right? And I always say that we're gonna all go through hell, but it's how we accept hell and how we move forward into find the heavens.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do know what you mean. I think
That's a good closing note.
I was yeah, I mean, I'm kind of working with somebody right now that's older photographer, and you know, whether he hears this or not, it is what it is. I'm probably going to tell him anyways, but like, he's kind of lost that ability to pivot and ability to grow, like, even just technologically. It's even more than just like you be an artist. It's like he hasn't kept up with the times of technology either. It's like he's still working on like an old Adobe Photoshop. He doesn't know how to like do things on, you know, his, you know, like certain editing things. And it's like, well, I've learned this in the 6 years that I've been.
Why
like,
do you
really
think that is though? Why
well,
do you think
I think it's because
pivoted?
like, especially if you're in like a smaller market, like you get stuck in your. But it's the same thing. It goes back to exactly what we've been saying. You get stuck in your ways.
Yeah,
and
and
you lose curiosity, and you also don't push yourself to go outside the boundaries that you have set for yourself.
yeah, and a lot of people who are in business doing something, they do it a certain way. The clients that they work with like it.
And those
so
businesses,
they say this is the right way.
Run out.
This is the right way of doing it.
You don't keep up, you're gone.
Yeah, but I'm saying a lot of people get stuck in their way because they're like, okay, this works. This is the right way to do it, and then they just keep doing it that way, and they don't adjust. But it works for some people, I guess. I don't know, right? Because I mean, that's why business and art together is not always. You know, it doesn't work together always.
I disagree. It doesn't work together. You got to find a way to
always
make it work
sometimes.
together, because I'm a person that was artsy
Yeah.
fartsy, right? And I was just like, art, like, you
Right.
know.
Right.
I'd be like, yo, Cavier, you need to find out how to monetize this. And I'm telling you,
You got to filter.
it took a lot of merging, and you're right, you have to filter. And I realized that I enjoy business also, because that made me understand the value of my art that I've created.
Oh,
Not
that too.
and
Yeah,
not
that's a good
because I
point.
was just like fishing for a price. I remember when my first painting I sold was $250, and it went to France, and I was like, whoa, that's impactful. Not that the money, the fact that somebody would pay for my art and put it on a plane and take it to France, right? That gave me the ability to be free and say, you know what, dude, you have a value, you have a currency here. And I think that was like really the most turning, point in my art career. And the fact that now I have five plus, $1,000 art sold, right? And, five figure fucking art sold.
Mm.
It's about where you place yourself and how you really like monetize it in some aspect, because you're not doing it for fun, because this is reality. You got to pay bills, you got to eat, you got to be healthy, you got to get to the next fucking decade of your life. And it don't start with just making something out of a hobby either, because every real man that done business done it serious. It wasn't for play. And I think to raise a family, you got to understand, like, it comes with a sacrifice.
It's
All
all
can't
a
be fun.
balance, bro.
Yeah.
It's all a balance.
Yeah.
I just want to read something because I quoted him earlier, but the same book, The Prophet, right? And this is, I think, like sums it up in Losing Passion. And so he says, verily, the lust for comfort murders the passion of the soul and then walks grinning in the funeral. And I think
Ooh.
that complacency is a synonym for comfort, right?
Mhm.
And like having your routine, and not when you stop thinking outside of your routine. Like,
Mhm.
listen, it's a balance. You want a routine, right?
Mhm.
But you shouldn't live by it the rest of your life. It needs
Mhm.
to be adaptable, and
Mhm.
and I think that comes with just continually. For me, it's like prayer, and like everybody got their own spiritual journey, you know. But at the end of the day, it's about not remaining comfortable and challenging.
Travel. Oh, I
100.
always tell a motherfucker, I'm like, if you ain't traveling, you don't know nothing.
Yeah.
Don't even talk about me if you ain't never been out the borough of New York City, any of the boroughs of New York City. I mean, I was very grateful at 21 years old. I lived in South Africa as a black man living in South Africa at 21. It changed my perspective. Just not because I was in a land of just blacks. I was dealing with segregation that just ended. The apartheid just ended in 1996. I was in South Africa in 2011. So just over 10 years that the apartheid was gone, right? Like 15, 16 years. But that stigma was there, and I still exist amongst people that felt stigma and stigmatized, right. And how do you remove yourself with this stigmatization of like, that's the controlling device there, is not knowing that you don't have to be a part of something because you know it already. And you don't want to be a part of it because you know it already. That's the power in what you have, the choice. And a lot of us don't want to pick the choice for the greater good because we just want to accept just the norm. And the norm is going to be sometimes just the base minimum of being racist, being hateful. Being outside of that is being courageous and being loving and God-fearing, and to the aspect of why you chose this role was not to be there, not normal. It's nothing wrong with not being normal. I think a lot of people get that fucked up and like, oh, you think you different. I am different because I chose to be different. You have a choice to be normal.
Yeah,
And
courage.
there's nothing wrong with that.
Courage,
It's not,
courageous.
And we all
courageous.
have the choice to be normal, but I don't want to be normal.
People like to be comfortable too.
And that's what comfortability is to me sometimes. It aligns itself with normability. Results. You already know how salt and steak gonna taste on paper, on a steak. Salt and pepper gonna taste on a steak. Why would you not put some different garnishes on there? Why would you not try to bake it? Why wouldn't you not try to sear it versus always doing the same bare minimums? And I think we get caught into fucking routine.
Of course.
You know what I mean?
Routine routines make
routines
things
kill-
easier for us.
Kill the inner kid, the inner child.
Well, they kill your inner kid.
You gotta
they
change them up.
They
You know
kill
what I
your
mean?
they kill your curiosity
Yeah, well, the thing
and your courageousness.
Yeah, the thing is, like, so people fall into routines because something is really good, right? So for like the steak with the salt and pepper, that's really good. So a lot of people end up just every time they have a steak, they're like, oh, I just want to do it the way that's good. But then it gets tiring after a while. It doesn't hit the same, so you gotta like do it a different way. Put some chimichurri on it, you know.
That's a good fucking call. Hey, that's the Argentinian shit. Hey, he knows my family tree. He knows my family. He knows my family.
You eat chimichurri?
That's an okay pattern to
Who
get
makes
caught
your
in. It's so
chimichurri?
fucking good. We want good patterns here, and I'll.
want that shit sealed with butter and just A1 sauce.
Well, that too. It's good. No, I don't fuck with A1, but
If you know how to cook that steak, you can put any sauce on that steak. Pause. You can put Alright. By the way, anyway, guys, I gotta get the hell out of here. I got a show. I love you guys. Signing out, Cavier Coleman. I love everybody here at this table, this magnifying table, and I will see you guys on the other side. And it's not gonna be shortcoming. I can promise you that.
we getting a tattoo like tonight or tomorrow?
Mañana.
I don't got too much room.
Man, remember the first time you got one?
I ain't hold on.
Remember the first
Yeah.
time
Oh
you
yeah,
got
that dude was about to faint.
one? Oh my God, that
This dude-
went on for ages. No, it was
Yo.
like he 3 hours was like, should I?
Oh yeah, he was fucking.
And then you had to get one to make him get one.
Yes, a little fucking pussy. I got 7-7. He was terrified. He was terrified.
I wasn't
right?
terrified.
Doesn't
And he
tell.
asking me, do I want to get a tattoo? You want to get a tattoo? I will get a
That was in
tattoo.
Tao, right?
All right.
Where were we in
That
Tao?
was
Taos.
Town, New Mexico.
Yeah.
I got 777, and I got a
Yeah.
Infinity.
Yeah, the infinity
When I
loop.
open it.
The tattooist friend was the guy who did the Tyson tattoo. Remember that guy?
Not Tyson. He did. Oh, he did.
His friend
His
did
friend
it.
did, but he did Billy Bob Thornton tattoo.
Yeah, he
Right,
did Billy
yeah.
Bob Thornton. Yeah. All right,
Oh,
cool,
God.
guys. This is great talking. I love you guys. Does anybody want to close this up? Does anybody want to say anything? You were good. Cool. Love you guys.